Hey everyone, it's Alison Heikkila. Thank you so much for joining me. A friend of mine asked me to make a Darth Vader themed card for her husband, so I decided to use the TIE Fighter as my focal point, and this ties in perfectly with the Fandom Friday Instagram hop for the month of June. There's a hop every third Friday of the month over on Instagram, and since I usually post my videos on Fridays, I figured why not make it work all together. As you can see here, I'm using the Warp Speed Stencil from A Colorful Life Designs, and I've got some silver embossing paste from Dreamweaver Stencils and my palette knife. Plus, I have some mixed media paper from scrapbook.com. And we're going to off by stenciling that Warp Speed design onto our mixed media paper. I'm going to grab some tape, and I'm going to just tape my black cardstock down and lay my stencil on top. And now I've got a brand new magnet from Glassboard Studios. I'm super excited about it. You're going to see a couple of them pop into the video. They just came today and I'm really excited about it. They hold really well. They're very strong. So unfortunately, you can't get this exact paste anymore, but I'll try to link something similar below. You can see how I've got my palette knife loaded. I don't have it on the top. I have it on the back. So you can see that I'm putting a lot of paste down. Don't worry, we're not going to use all of this paste. Any excess can go back into the jar, but it's easier to spread this out if you use the back of the palette knife. I've got some temporary adhesive that doesn't seem to want to work anymore, so I grabbed a piece of washi tape and put that right there so that I could fill in that circle, because obviously I don't want to have the paste going in that middle portion. So I'm just going to scrape this along, and I'm going to try and make it nice and smooth. This is a little tedious just because I can't scrape straight down because of that circle. I'm trying to avoid getting it in the gap. There's a little bit of a gap there, and you'll see in a little while that I do manage to get a tiny bit in there, but for the most part, I was able to not do that. So if we were just scraping straight down, this could get done a lot faster, but I'm trying to be careful here so that I don't get it where I don't want it. Sorry that my arm gets in the way, but I wanted to keep that little circle in place and work around it. So now you can see I'm taking all of that excess off of the stencil and putting it back into the jar. Don't waste this stuff, guys. Your jars can last a really long time. Okay, so now here is the peel and reveal. Ta-da! Take that, put it right into water. I have a basin in my craft space so that I can just worry about washing it later. But if you are able to have a sink nearby, whatever, just wash it off right away. You don't want your paste drying on your stencil. I'm trying to get some of that silver off, but I have a solution for that later that I'll show you. Not a big deal. It's not a whole lot. Overall, I'm so pleased with how this came out. So now I'm going to set this aside to dry. So here is my TIE Fighter. I sketched this out because I record my videos with my phone, so I couldn't use my phone as a reference. So I sketched it out using a reference that I found on Google, and now I've got a hexagon from Waffle Flower. This is the Hexagon Nested Die Set, and I'm going to take that hexagon and use it again to start to make those side pieces. Now, in some parts of the movie, they're straight, but I really wanted them to be bent in the way they are when he's like engaged in a fight, right? So now what I'm doing is I'm showing that you've got to change the angle a little bit so that it looks as though it's going backwards. So I'm just using the die itself to kind of remove that excess piece with my pencil. I'm going to cut it off now with my scissor. And we're just trying to make the proportions correct and make the perspective correct. And if you don't want to do all of this, guys, you don't have to. Like I said, a friend of mine wanted a Darth Vader themed card for her husband, and this was just something that I came up with, and I just thought it would be really fun to use pretty basic dies to create this very cool ship. So now I've cut my second piece down, and I'm just using the top piece to help me shape the second one so that they're the same. You can see I'm just trimming that off not a whole lot of excess there. And now that's looking better. We're going to adjust it further in a little while. But first we're going to make the circle for the center, for the part that Darth Vader is actually in. And I'm trying to figure out what the right size would be and kind of going back and forth. They're not quite right. This die set is from Elizabeth Craft Designs. It's not available anymore, but just, I'm sure you've got a circle die. If you don't, maybe a circle punch. Otherwise, take a bottle of something, your Nuvo drops, your alcohol blending solution, regular alcohol inks, and just trace it and then fussy cut it out. So you can totally find circles, I'm sure, in plenty of places around your home, and you can just use that. So I decided to go with the smallest die, but I didn't like the size of the die itself. And now I realize that that isn't exactly a circle because I was being cheap and had it too close to the edge. So the inside portion that was going to cut that circle was not the right size. I wanted it bigger. So I'm using the outside and I traced that because those dies actually have a stitched border, a faux stitched border. And I didn't want the border, obviously. So I just used it to cut it down. So now we're going to do the part that connects the circular portion to the sides. And I've grabbed that diamond that was left over from when we, cut down our original hexagon. And I'm going to cut that in half. So now we're going to have 2 triangles. And you're going to say, well, that's the wrong shape. It doesn't matter. We're going to fix it so that it is the right shape. So I'm checking that out. I'm looking at my sketch, which is a poorly drawn sketch, but you get the idea, right? So now I'm going to use my pencil again and just kind of sketch out where I want to cut it down. They're triangles, but they're skinnier triangles than what we have here. These are kind of equilateral triangles, and we need to make them a little different. So I'm going to cut that down, and I decide, because I want them to be symmetrical, I'm cutting down one side. Then I'm going to grab my second triangle, cut that same side off, and then I'm going to flip it over. See that? And now I'm going to cut it again so that they're symmetrical. So you don't have to worry about measuring and lining up and all of that. You're just going to hold the 2 pieces of cardstock together, snip, 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 and then they're going to be totally fine. And again, the shape is not quite right yet. We will fix it later, I promise. For now, I'm just trying to situate myself so that I know that I have the basic shape going and I'm pleased with what's going on. So that's starting to look more like a TIE fighter, right? Now we're going to do the center. So I have this older circle add-on die from the Lawn Fawn Reveal Wheel die set. And that circle was the perfect size for that middle area. That's where the window is, where Darth Vader is sitting. So now I'm realizing that I need to cut off those angles. It's not supposed to be angled like that. It's supposed to be flat because, again, those side pieces actually straighten out. So they wouldn't be at an angle like this. So I'm just taking my Pear Blossom Press T-square and chopping those off. You're doing it once and then using that first piece to cut the second piece so that we don't have to worry about making them exact, with measuring and all of that nonsense. Just let's make this easier for ourselves, right? And now I'm going to I keep going back and looking at it and reshaping and making sure that everything is actually working out how I want it to be. And I'm pretty happy with how that's looking so far, right? Okay, so now I'm going to cut off those other pieces because they need to not have those points there. And doing those little tiny adjustments, like cutting off the edges where they're not supposed to be, just makes such a big difference in how the whole thing is going to look in the end. Okay, so now I'm going to work on drawing that middle piece. And it's not complicated, guys. We're going to draw a circle, and then we're going to draw some lines. You can totally do this. Don't think, oh my gosh, she's going to have me draw. You can do this. We're going to draw a line from the top down to the bottom, and now we have a Pokeball. And then we're going to do it again, and then we're going to add a couple more lines. And we're just going right across without connecting in the middle. There you go. It's like a little sunburst, right? So now I'm going to take a Copic marker. This is C7. Use what you've got. If you don't want to use a Copic, use a Zig. If you don't want to use that, use a crayon. It doesn't matter. We just want to make these lines stand out so that it mimics the ship, because I am not cutting all of those itty bitty pieces out, guys. So let's talk about Fandom Friday for a second. Fandom Friday, again, is the third Friday of every month. It's an Instagram hop, but, like I said before, since I tend to post videos on my channel on Fridays, I wanted to just tie that in. So that's why my video is posting a little bit later than usual. But this month's theme is summer blockbusters. Fandoms with summer blockbusters. And interestingly enough, Star Wars was one of the first movies to kind of usher in this trend of having summer blockbuster movies. The original 3 were all released in May of different years, of course. But that's kind of the kickoff of summer. So that's, again, one of the movies that actually started the summer blockbuster thing. So this was perfect to just kind of tie that in. So now I'm adding some lines here with my pencil because there is texture on those interior pieces there. I don't know what they do. I'd like to say I'm an expert, but I'm not, especially not on the vehicles that are utilized in Star Wars. I'm really not. But I wanted to make it look better and have more stuff going on than just these flat pieces of gray. So I'm just sketching this out. Again, I can't show you an actual picture of that at the moment because, I was using my phone. But that's why I had sketched what I did on the side there. And what I should have done is added an actual picture of a TIE fighter into this video, but I didn't. And it's too late now because I'm not going to go back. I'm so sorry. You can just Google it. Trust me. It looks pretty close. It's not bad. I mean, this is a hand-drawn and hand-cut representation of this ship. And considering this kind of thing isn't really my forte, coming up with different shapes and things on the fly using random dies, I think it came out all right. And I just hope that the recipient likes it. But I think that he will. I think he will. So now I'm using C7 to color in these darker areas. Look at that. See? It looks more like a TIE fighter now. I'm so excited about this. Like, my son saw it and he was like, oh, that's really cool. Maybe I'll make him one. So now I'm going to add a little bit of darker gray to the inside. This is where, again, Darth Vader sits. There's some area below, you'll see in a minute, that I'm going to make a lighter gray because there's like stuff, like I guess the control panel and whatnot. So I'm not going to color the whole thing, but I want to give it the effect that there's glass and that there's an actual area that you can see through. So it's reflecting the night, I shouldn't say night sky. It's just reflecting the sky in space. And then you're also able to see like that there's something happening below that. And I think it's the control panel. So I'm just kind of messing around with it, trying to decide if I like the shaping. I left the light gray at the top like uncolored because I want that to look like a reflection. Now this is a fairly flat window, if memory serves correct, but I still wanted to give it some type of highlight. Okay, so now I have N4, and again, I'm coloring in that section there. And again, this is pretty simple stuff. It's just, you got to take the time to think and break this stuff down. I'm happy that it's such a geometric shape. Like this whole ship is very geometric and pretty easy to kind of reimagine using these simple dies. So if you're intimidated by doing stuff like this, just give this a try. If you're a fan of Star Wars, like try it out. Like maybe you can come up with a different type of ship from the movie series, but I needed a TIE fighter. So now I'm coloring in some more. I have no idea what these parts are, but they're pretty obvious when you look at a picture of a TIE fighter. So I didn't want to leave them out. There's also, if you notice on my sketch, there are those 2 little dots at the bottom. Those are like lights, or actually no, I think they're lasers. Those are the lasers, the laser guns. I did not add those in the end because I didn't want it to look weird, and I thought that it would because this isn't a very realistic looking TIE fighter. It's very like comic booky kind of. So I decided to omit them. You can do what you want. If I had some Pear Blossom press lights, I don't have any right now that would have done the job for this. You could have lit it up down there, but that's a whole nother project for a whole nother time. So now again, there's that hatch at the top that I added that that line there for. There are some extra little details that are on the side. You can go as crazy as you want or as simple as you want. But I thought that the details that I added were pretty important, and I didn't want to omit them because I thought it added something extra to it that it really needed. And I think it would have looked kind of too plain if I didn't. In fact, later on, after I glued this whole thing together, I realized, I really should have shaded the ball a little bit. And, I do that off screen, but you'll wind up seeing what it looks like later. So now I'm just gluing those pieces together, and there's my new bar magnet. Love it. They are so strong, you guys. But I like that they have a curve to them, so it's easy for me to pick up. And that's important. Okay, so I'm gluing the rest of this together. I'm going to use that bar magnet again. Let it dry off screen for a minute. And there we go. That's not bad. I think that that's okay. Like, considering I didn't spend like 6 hours drawing a TIE fighter, I think it came out okay. This was a little annoying to me. I didn't put them in the same exact spot, so it's not exactly symmetrical, but it's all right. I grabbed my Jelly Roll pen. Thought that it needed a little bit of white highlights. I think I might have gone a little overboard. This area I like. I like this a lot. Not that there's anything that I don't like that I did, but I don't know if it was necessary for me to do this part coming up. So I'm going to add some highlights to these darker areas here. I think I was just having fun with my Jelly Roll because it was actually working. White pens are so annoying. They tend to stop working for me very quickly. And this was a new one. I just got this one a couple of weeks ago, so I knew it was going to work. So I was just excited that it was working. So let me know what you think. Were these white lines necessary? I mean, again, in the round portion, I think that they were. But I don't know if I needed to do it here. It's fine. I still like it. I'm still happy with it. And now I'm like, put the pen down, Al. Put the pen down. Okay, so here it is with our dried background. How cool is that? So what I did here to fix that, I used my Tombow Mono Eraser. It's a sand eraser. And then I went over it with my black brush tip Pitt pen. And that kind of hit it pretty well. Okay, here's the only die that you probably don't have in your stash. It's from the how do I even say this, guys? Pop-cessories Die Set from Stampendous. If it's still available, I'll link it below. I wanted to use one of those action wobbles, but I couldn't find them. You could just cut a spiral with an extra piece hanging at the bottom, and that will work fine. You could also just use foam tape. I wanted my TIE fighter to bounce around. You don't need to do this. There are other techniques that you can do with, like, putting a circle hole in the middle, and then adding a foam piece to the TIE fighter and then attaching it through that, and then it kind of floats there. I didn't want to do all of that. Again, you don't have to have it moving. I just wanted to. So I attached it there with some black cardstock, and now it can kind of wobble around. The action wobble would have been better because it would have been more pronounced off of the card, but this works out just fine. It moves a little bit, and I'm happy with that. So my friend Jen Gross was talking to me a couple of weeks ago. No, last week. And I said, I got to make this card. I need a sentiment. I don't know what to do. And she said, there's no escaping your birthday. I'm like, oh, that's perfect. She just came up with it. She is just always full of some of the best ideas, truly. I say it often, but it's true. So I printed this. I used Google Drive. No, Google Docs, excuse me, duh. I used my Google Docs, printed it real quick, used copy paper, added it to a piece of cardstock, and then colored it with a couple of Copics. And that's it. Super, super easy. Make your own sentiments if you don't have the right one. And it came out just great. So I'm using my Pear Blossom Press T-Square to line that bad boy up. And yeah, I added some foam tape to it. And that's that. It's attached to the card base already. I love it. I hope you do too. And I hope the recipient does. And my friend, before she gives it to him. So anyway, make sure you go to Instagram, check out the Fandom Friday Hop. If you want more information, check out my description box below. I hope this inspires you to try new things with your dies. Have a great day. I hope you like Star Wars as much as I do. All right, I'll be back with another video real soon. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Be well, stay safe. Peace out.